G'day guys, welcome to another weekly developer update. Joining me once again is Joe Armenio. Welcome, mate.
It's good to be here. Excited to cover things this week.
Yeah, we've had a bit of excitement actually in the Discord. Do you want to start off with that one? We can go and discuss one of the projects calling out another one, basically.
You know, crypto is a space where, I don't know, sometimes there's a lot of drama. I don't know if anybody's ever been on Twitter, but that happens. And, you know, the reality is sometimes there are concerns, right? And they're valid. It's good to call out concerns. It's good to do your own due diligence. It's good to look for proof of development. So, you know, in that sense, I can't speak against that. I think that there's probably a better place, right, to have that. You know, and the reality is, you can ask the question, okay, is that potentially like attacking someone, or is it potentially protecting people? You know, and sometimes that just depends on the outcome, right?
Yeah, and also somewhat in the delivery as well. It can come across somewhat aggressive or passive aggressive at times. It's just a matter of the delivery, I think, as well. I think for the most part, it's well intended, but it's just maybe sort of misinterpreted at times also.
Yeah, for me, I'm usually the type of person that if I have something to say, I'm going to do it in private. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to public domain and, you know, start a storm. I'm going to just approach someone and have a conversation and then, you know, take it from there. No, that's, you know, it's a good thing to have due diligence, right? It's a good thing to ask hard questions. So I'm never going to say, you know, like, don't do your own due diligence, don't ask hard questions. And, you know, that's one of the beauties of open sources in the end, is you get proof of development. But, you know, the reality is sometimes open source, you know, is like a process where people want to build something, make sure it's stable, and then, you know, open source it. And the reality is, I'm fine with that. Why? Because it's like its own proof of work, proof of development. You know, but when you don't have anything live yet, you know, that kind of changes the equation a little bit, I guess. You know, so it's like, okay, you know, if I were to say, you know, from my experience, let's say with like Aneta, you know, I know that Frosty's put his face in public, so I think if you know, if there was a drama or an issue there, that probably is not a wild, right? Yeah. You know that, you know, they've developed a treasury for what they want to do, you know, so that at least gives like some assurance that they have the ability to fund things, right? Yep. And I've actually in meetings with him and his dev team, you know, and MHS talking about, you know, Rosen and what parts could potentially be reused, and they decided to go with a different framework, but you know, that's okay. So ask good questions in the space, but, you know, in my advice would just be do it in a classy way, because there's already so much drama in this space every day, like infighting and just that kind of, I don't know, nonsense, you know. And the reality is, like, as an ecosystem, when you get competing projects, you know, there's always a tendency to try to like build value by destroying your competitor versus providing a service or providing something. Yeah. And, you know, the reality is, you know, in the short term, sometimes like drama like that will work. But in my opinion, in the end, people forget about it, right? Yeah. It's the service that matters. It's like the application, the user experience. You know, does it work, and what is it like to use, right? So I think energy is much more useful there versus like the drama element of it. But
yeah, it's somewhat draining, to be honest, also. But I'm of the same mindset where sort of approach someone in private, have a decent conversation, because for the most part, they might not know that they're doing something or that something's been missed. You know what I mean? Like that sort of situation. But then also, instead of going like having a negative mindset, like you just mentioned, instead of sort of tearing down another project, go and approach them, lift everyone up, sort of thing, work together. That's build resilience as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see that. The reality is, in time we will have projects that compete and that, you know, have their own, I don't know, sometimes it's marketing, sometimes it's good questions, honestly, sometimes it's staying relevant. You know, there's a lot of mixed intent, I think, in the like purpose or reason, and sometimes it's just questions, right? So I'm not against, you know, holding teams to their word. I'm not against asking for, you know, assurances, looking at code, having deliverables. But then on the flip side, software development can be a challenge, and sometimes, you know, you'd say, well, okay, well, this should be done in a week, and then, you know, 6 days later you hit a bug, and it's right. Like sometimes that's just how development works. It's very hard to work on like timelines. It's you know, I hate to say, you know, sometimes things are done when they're done, but they're just done when they're done, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's just the reality of software development. So yeah, let's jump into the hot topic of the week, actually. So let's do that transition. And This is what we're sort of talking about. So Comet's provided their update. So they've hired Reka actually to do their lottery smart contract. Doesn't have big experience with ErgoScript, but willing to learn. So that's amazing. Congratulations, Reka, and the Comet guys on that one. And then, yeah, getting into the juicy stuff. So he would also, this is Catulia, he'd like to request a change to the Ergonauts Reddit. He's noticed that there is a project calling out or naming an BTC here that haven't developed anything on the Ergo side or showed any proof that he, as in Frosty, is working on something and that Comet isn't. So he kindly requests that if not removing Neta from the banner, the Reddit banner he's referring to, until they actually show something at least, add Comet logo there as well, because they've actually built something of open source. So he's listed a couple of things here with a refundable ICO, locked smart contract, NFT with lottery utilities soon, or you can just remove everything. So it's a spicy little sort of comment there.
Get into the beauty of decentralized governance. Like the first question is, who made the banner in Reddit, right?
Yeah.
I have an idea, but like I couldn't even, I would have to go out.
Yeah, I think.
And then it's,
yeah, I'd have to go searching for it.
Yeah, I don't know that off the top of my head, in all honesty. And then it's like, okay, well, should there be like some community consensus on that type of marketing? Sure, I don't think that's a bad idea. No, it's like not a bad idea to say, okay, these have shown open source stuff, and then, you know, that's fine. Like if something live, maybe that's how the community should curate information. But you know, the beauty of a decentralized network is you're always going to have like governance conflicts, and sometimes it breaks down to like a banner on a website, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let the Reddit mods talk. We do have people on Reddit, and you know, I think that kind of decentralizing power is a good thing. Let them set some standard for their environment. They're the ones that work there and handle the chats, and they do great work. So,
yeah,
you know, I would, like, in that sense, talk to the people in charge there. It's not me. I technically might be a mod on Reddit, actually, but it's a terrible one, and I haven't been active.
You'll be getting some messages soon.
Yeah, I would fire myself in terms of in that, but I might have power there. I don't know. Depends on the channel. But
then also, just basically sort of making the accusation there of not having anything open source or any project deliverables at this stage. Also, I know at the day this was sort of announced that the BTC guys have actually put out a developer update on Twitter. So if you want to jump over there and read that Medium article, by all means do so.
Yeah, you know, proof of development is an important concept in it really is. Like I can't say that I'm against asking for like proof of development, especially in the crypto space, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think we've seen too much of that on Ergo. other than like Erdoj, but they've been pretty transparent. Like, we're not going to do anything, right?
Yeah, straight up, the website says don't buy it, and they're not doing anything.
Yeah, and I think their website's down now because they didn't pay their dough, actually. So they, follow their roadmap, I guess. But, I don't think proof of development is a negative thing to ask for. But at the same time, I think that it's a matter of time, right? And the reality is, like, if you were I don't know, sometimes there's an incentive in like the crypto space to get in early, right?
Yeah.
And, and people don't really look at like, okay, well, what risk assumptions am I making? And the truth is, if there's like nothing functional or nothing you can see, consider that risky, right? Now, generally in markets, you have a certain trade-off of risk and reward. I think that, like from a trading perspective, that's probably why it's attractive. But just manage your risks. If you have questions and you want to know assumptions, ask them. But, I'd say try to keep it classy. And in this sense, it breaks down to like Reddit moderation and governance there. So take it to Reddit. Like, I don't have any issue with having some community standard on this type of thing. I think that's ultimately a good thing, but I don't want to be the guy that sets it, right? It's a decentralized system. I guess if I am a moderator, which I have to check, maybe I'll have a vote there, or maybe they'll say, hey, Arminio, you don't do anything. You have no power here. Probably true.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into the developer update proper.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Scroll up here. Right, here we are. We can kick things off with Satergo. So he's jumped the gun here. He's just beat Kushti by a matter of seconds by the looks of things. So our favorite cat developer has released version 1.4.1 of Satergo last week. It's fixed full node updating on Windows. Sending is now properly disallowed until the node has synced. So I'm assuming that's sending transactions. Added a fetch IP button to set the public address node shortcut. Fixed renaming addresses, improved node updater. It's got a progress bar there also. Fixed the changed API and set public address node shortcuts. Fixed an issue with transacting from the non-master addresses. Fixed that some data stopped updating after the node restart, and localized date formats. Added Portuguese translation, and some more things that you can find at the website. So jump over there to, I think it's satergo.com, and check that out. So next up we have greenhat.
All right, greenhat and the Sigma Rust team are always busy. Looks like their primary focus has been on the Oracle code base. So they have been playing with the Oracle V2 core, and also kind of plugging things together, see if it flies. And, and that is going well. There's been a couple of issues that they've been working on. Looks like they finished PR in terms of the Oracle codebase network, make it pretty nice on mainnet and testnet. Looks like DoSec is finished and merged the update pool command. Looks like the progress that's being made. They did a minor adjustment in terms of the transaction signature verification for the Ledger application. The arbitrary JS data type, ergo type conversion for EIP24 and EIP34 support. It's been built into Sigma Rust, and he's fixing issue with setting custom parameters, minimum data points, Oracle count, etc. on Bootstrap. And it looks like he's going on vacation. greenhat, has been working hard for a while. So I hope he hits the beach somewhere nice and takes some time for himself.
Yeah, puts his feet up and relaxes for a little while. Moving on, we have MrStahlfelge on the wallet app, so the Ergo wallet. Releases are done for the Android and desktop, and then the next release is ErgoPay implementation can handle chain transactions and other small improvements. Then also with Mosaik, he's implemented some missing UI elements and has a tutorial for part 1 to 3 added to the Ergo docs.
That's nice to see.
Yep. Pragmaxim.
So it looks like Pragmaxim's probably been working on a node. That's usually what he's working on. Looks like he finished a PR that introduces modifier ID and type and validation errors, which helps with troubleshooting. And invalid transaction is now removed from mempool and delivery tracker. So a couple of nice updates on the node.
And we have a significant update here from curbsideprophet. He looks like he's been busy.
Yep.
So kicking things off with the sigmabot. It's a Discord bot for frequently asked data. So you can retrieve the latest ergo block height, charts, spectrum, dex prices, visualize balance, history over time, the ergon tokens, and more to come. Customizable with a little dev work. For example, an NFT project owners can use it to return stats, rarity scores, rankings, price floor, etc., and or for a requested NFT. And just send him a DM if you want to add it to your server.
Pretty neat.
Yeah. ergo-rpi. So that's a Raspberry Pi. So for the Ergo Raspberry Pi Maxis, he's got some guides there. Showcase the various possibilities with a simple RPI computer, so Raspberry Pi, and run all the different Ergo services. So you can do run a node, the mixer, Ergo bot, or Spectrum bots now, I guess you can call them, oracles, numerous other things, I'm assuming. The Ergo RPI node logs. So there's a companion repo to track and compare node releases over time by analyzing log files. Scope of work is now limited to visualizing time to sync for Ergo nodes, and the goal is to encourage Raspberry Pi adoption for increased network security. It's nice to see. tidyergo, the Ergo blockchain data with R statistical computing language. Written primarily for data scientists who prefer analyzing and visualizing data in tidyverse format, and integrated all ErgoWatch API endpoints. I'm currently reviewing the next set to add to the package. And then finally, on to Azorus. So there's a Figma prototype for the front-end UI in progress, just for various page types. Initial release for the Ergo Analytics, which is one piece of their back-end infrastructure. They've used as basis for their public node. Purpose is to jumpstart data scientist workbench, so it contains the Explorer database and the Ergo node to simultaneously secure the network. Future improvements will add Jupyter Notebook, RStudio support, node data police snapshots, flesh out documentation, then on to a key piece for upper funnel marketing campaigns to bring non-crypto DSML practitioners into the Ergo ecosystem, or into their ecosystem. And then the team is working on Nervous analytics and Affilium analytics as well. So they're going sort of cross-chain. Big update. So Chris and his team, I'm assuming there's a team there who's been pretty busy.
Yeah.
So moving on, we have QX bracket, open bracket, close bracket with ErgoPort.
Nice. So it looks like ErgoPort has created a 24-hour historical data point for each token on the bots. The first is a 24-hour rolling average, 24 points in the last day averaged to one number. And the second is an approximate 24 comparison to the single data point 24 hours ago. The data is outputted with each price query. It looks like the bot is now on Toasty Drop Discord. They've reformatted the bot text output to make it a little bit more readable as it sends out a lot of data. They've added the ability for bots to now look up the real-time hash rate of Ergo. Pretty nice to see. They've added the ability for bots to view NFTs on Sky Harbor if you provide the token ID. And it will provide details and then a preview image of the NFT.
Yep.
Looks like they've added the ability for bots to look up the tokens waiting to be claimed from tosydrop.io by submitting the wallet address. They've added nanopool and hero miners in addition to GetBlok for checking your real-time personal mining hash rate. That's nice to see. They're in the process of updating bots that will help file to show all commands. It looks like that was too much info before. They have a link for the Telegram price check channel, Telegram/ergoport. Added a few more tokens. And just a note to say that the community here is amazing. So much support and feedback, even with a little tool like this. Everyone's been so helpful. Thank you. Yeah, little tools are amazing, to be honest. It's sometimes you don't necessarily need something big and fancy. Being able to check your own hash rate, like that's huge, especially if you're a miner, you're on the run.
Yep.
You don't want to run something that you have to pay for.
Yeah, you can just send a DM to the bot or whatever, and away you go.
I mean, there's a lot of people that, they want to solo mine, right? They want to cut out fees. They don't want to be paying services. And, a lot of times those services have little tools. So, empowering the user through little tools is amazing. I'm always happy to see that.
Yeah, most definitely. It could be a little... just a little barrier to entry there, breaking that as well, because you can have this little sort of, what he can conceives there as being a little amazing or a little project, but then who knows where that can take you. You've dipped your toes in the water and onward on your development journey on Ergo. So moving on, we have MHS Sam and Rosen Bridge. So all subsystems of Rosen Bridge are deployed and working on their local mainnet. There are some minor issues just in connecting some of them to the others. So I'm assuming that's the guards and the watchers. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think I know he was going to do some testing in terms of trying to figure out what the largest guard set that would basically would sign without creating any type of loops or issues with space.
Yeah.
So still some testing happening, but core infrastructure is up, and that's huge.
Yeah, definitely. So just to take a couple of days to resolve that, and most of the repos will be available on GitHub this weekend. So hopefully by the time this video is released.
Yeah.
Moving on, we have Cotillia's comments that we addressed earlier. And on to Captain Nemo.
Sure. So the Nautilus have added GraphQL backend support. The Fleet software kit, which they are going to pick up Fleet from.
Yeah, Nemo must have been watching last week.
Yeah, they watched the update and said, "Hey, I like that idea." So nice to see. They've added address model and encoding, added input selector with custom selection strategy support, added accumulation selection strategy, added basic output builder, added CI and test coverage report, and they're dropping the Nemo link to Fleet on GitHub. So anybody that's interested, take a look.
Yep. Sounds good. It ties into that whole sort of nautical theme. So moving on, we have Alex Kushti with the another node update. So 4.0.39's been released. So just a couple of different bug fixes and randomized transaction sorting order in the meme pool by fee to transaction size or fee to execution cost. There's a new PR with delivery check improvements. Reviewing and reworking a big PR introducing unconfirmed transaction wrapper. So helping to improve the meme pool P2P layer and the block candidate generation. Then just reviewing a couple of other PRs and checking blockchain validation with the 5.0 candidate. And then just on other matters, he's discussing Dexy contracts. Seems that they're more or less done now. Considering improvements for the new mixing scheme and writing decentralized grid contract. So that'll be published soon.
Yep, and he's already on to 4.40, actually.
Does the man ever sleep?
I have no idea. Yeah, he recharges. He plugs in and
So moving on, we have Luivatra.
sure. So, it looks like due to multiple reasons, they're going to be switching some of their stack from Python to Scala. Scala or Python will still be used as bind it all together language, but the core code surrounding the smart contracts will be made in Scala. It'll be exposed through a service running on their backend to their other services, the execution bots, and the command line interface for anyone to use DAO. So DAOs can operate even when the site is down. That will put more control of compatibility between Python and JVM instead of being dependent on JPipe. It will also make our Python workers much lighter because they won't have to spin up JVM. First step is taken for plasma-based staking. The stake transaction is implemented and tested. The first transaction is in place. Creating the rest should be fairly simple from that point. The next step for plasma staking is implementation tests for emit, compound, and unstake. They're going to investigate how best to track down the current state, handling forks and restarts of bot services when they go down. They're going to test it on the test net. Then all goes well, they're going to test it on mainnet. Where relevant, move existing staking solutions over to plasma staking. So that's great to see. Yep. And they're going to continue work on Paideia smart contracts. Looks like they have dropped a new SDK for Paideia. So everybody that wants to look at their new Scala coded SDK, check out the GitHub. Nice to see these SDKs coming together. That's huge.
Yeah. Pretty crazy, some of these updates, and in short amount of time as well. Moving on, we have our favorite cheese enthusiast with the GetBlok IO updates. So just on subpooling, they're continuing work on the Neta Phase 3. So currently there's a little delay due to Testnet Explorer. Just on their layer 2, so they're finalizing a layer 2 name and token, analyzing different pool collateralization methods that will allow lenders to gain yield on erg. Currently looking at randomly selected collateral versus collateral selected by the block miner. They're also considering different pool fee rates to ensure that a safe and fair fee is given to the lenders. And Cheese believes that to be relatively low risk loan, so currently there's a low fee, 1 to 5%, that would make the most sense in his opinion. And then just looking at different mechanisms to place shares on chain and then compute a single share score for each miner in the decentralized pool. Shares will almost certainly be placed on an AVL tree, and for computation, it's the best and most researched option right now is to use probabilistic algorithm. Probabilistic tongue twister from the ETH Smart Pool paper. However, he's looking into whether the principles are similar to NipaPower's can be used on shares, which is partial block solutions in the end. And then just starting initial work on the white paper describing the protocol.
That's huge. Honestly, I don't think people appreciate the potential of taking a mining pool and then building DeFi into it. A lot of what we've seen so far in proof of work is the pools would use flash bots and basically try to front run DeFi transactions, but actually building DeFi into where liquidity essentially is created, distributed, is a really fascinating concept.
Yeah, most definitely. And if you want to have a little bit more insight into this, check out a video on my channel called decentralization in proof of work mining. I interviewed both Rob and Karat from GetBlok, and he delved very deep into this, and very informative video. So go and check that one out. So moving on, we have Haileypdll.
All right, looks like there is a new update for Safe Wallet, that's SAFEW, 0.6.6 with some minor bug fixes. Looks like he's been working on a game. So he's produced on Blob's Topia. Reduced the main script address size from 2,700 to 2,200 characters, allowing to see the transactions in the meme pool and do chain transactions with Nautilus. Integrated ErgoPay to allow usage on mobile. That's nice to see. Many UI improvements. The remaining is to improve the current fight display to show the probable winner, an about page, a fight bot, a token sales contract in UI, more testing, and a GitHub code release. And it looks like we actually have a picture of Blobs fighting.
Yeah.
It's, sword versus axe. We'll see.
Sounds fun. Maybe they can plug that into Night Owl.
Well, that's potential.
So moving on, we have Apextheory. So just for himself, just created a PR for unconfirmed transaction changes in the node. Kushti's done some review and just waiting on some feedback for further changes. Just a short update here from SpookyErgo. So they've changed the priest position on the map, and also Spooky now can't access priest position. Faster gameplay and added a timer.
Nice to see.
Yep. Continue scrolling on. We have scalahub.
So in the R&D department, we have some side updates. Dexy, he's done with the tracking contract. Work in progress to extract a future and release contract. A few checks remaining, like ensure extracted tokens go to the extracted box, etc. Overall, the contracts are quite heavy, so we'll need another round of review. But that's just how things work. It's nice to see that progressing.
Yep.
I like how Alex put it earlier. More or less done, and then you got to sweep over it and find out if it's more done or less done.
Yeah. That's good to have those conversations. Moving on, we have LowKeyNerd from BlitzTCG. So the dev on the development front, the chat system's complete. Just aside from some UI tweaks, the chat system and deck builder projects have been merged successfully, and the new website is on track to be released this weekend. LGD's made some great progress on the pack to card ergo contract also.
Great to see.
Yep. And moving on, Chris Ray from Exle.
All right, so what's going on with Exle? Looks like they've finished the work on the visualizer, still working on contract tests, mostly just refactoring after some small changes. They did some investigative work on lend to repayment transactions, still looking into the issue. Finished the API schematic for single lender loans, finished a transaction bot for main transactions. It processes the transaction. They've created a create lend box, create loan proxy to the lend box, fund lend loan or fund loan proxy plus lend to the lend box to repayment, lend box to repayment box, fund repayment to fund repayment proxy plus repayment box. So kind of going through the contract flow, I guess.
Yep.
Distribute repayment funds, absorb or refund loan. That's when a loan is created but never funded. So that's nice to see.
Yep.
Create generic class for scaling the TX bot, the TX processor class, the singleton TX processor, the generic TX processor. They've interviewed and recruited two lovely front-end devs, State Anomaly and Ed. It's nice to see the front end coming together for them. Received from a student interested in interning as a back-end dev. Will recruit after she takes class during DECO next semester. So that's awesome. You get somebody that wants to intern and wants to sign up and get educated.
Yep.
But that's actually a pretty smart way to get into the space. So I hope everything goes well with the intern.
Yeah, definitely. Welcome to the ecosystem.
That's got to give respect to someone that goes out of their way to create something like that.
Definitely. So moving on, we have LGD. So on the ErgoPad random NFT sales generator, they've been in talks with MGPie and Cheese Enthusiast to incorporate Plasma. Another one incorporating. Great to see. So that protocol can scale. So Plasma's the best thing since sliced bread. It's going across the ecosystem. It's good. So new architecture can scale random NFT token sales from 200,000 to 200 million individual tokens. So ID token IDs. Pretty significant improvement. The only bottleneck is the pre-minting times. Theoretically, the protocol's generalized framework for random token sales, such that random token pack sales are possible. It's just working on new contracts to account for Plasma, and there is a simple case that if an NFT needs to be minted and not tokens, a pre-mint is not required. They can be minted at the same time as a random sale. However, there's a slight conflict with this method using Plasma and the V2 of ERP24. That's mainly to do with the traits of the NFT. And then since using Plasma is what enables the mass scaling of NFT minting and selling, maybe it should be accounted for in the artwork EIPs.
Good idea, actually.
Yep.
I think we may have to make some changes to some EIPs to accommodate Plasma, because it looks like we're seeing plugged in a lot of places. Nice to see.
Yep, and by LG's words, they are the best thing since sliced bread. Moving on, we have Liquid Phase from Swamp Audio.
All right, so what's Terahertz up to? Looks like the back end, they're on the final phases of testing. It's happening with the DApp connector for Laravel, ensuring the security assumptions are met before the release. On the front end, the Figma mockups for new user and dashboard and user asset pages are being worked on. And I will hopefully have something to show before the end of next week as a teaser. So everybody that's interested in being teased, pay attention next week. Looks like with the smart contract, their mutual release agreement contract is a 2-stage contract, of which the first stage, the bootstrap, is complete and working as expected. The bootstrap is created with certain conditions that must be met to proceed to the second stage of the contract. The bootstrap indicates the number of users in the contract, their addresses, or where their address works will come from, and the NFT identifiers themselves. Until the point of bootstrap receives all of the referenced works from all the referenced parties, the contract can be voided by any submitting party, and their works can be withdrawn. The next phase of the contract is the distribution and payment or payout parameters for all the workers and users in the contract. In real life, they're putting together plans for real space events to become a use case for Terahertz. For ticketing sales and vendor access, the eventual goals are to merge the real world events with a metaverse to create a hybrid global community around a specific set of local events. That'd be pretty cool.
Yep.
You know,
Another big update.
Yeah.
Moving on, little update here from Ilya from Dapstep. Nothing from him this week. He's just been busy at home, and unfortunately has the bonus of catching COVID. So rest up, mate. Get better soon.
I hope you kill the virus.
So this is the exciting part, actually. Moving on, we've got Hazy One Kenobi. So it's just addressing Catilia's comments earlier in regards to kind of calling calling out Aneta BTC in some regards. So he disagrees, and the project should be disagrees that projects should be comparing themselves to others and vying for banner icons on the Reddit. So it's just saying that he's had or believes that Cotillia's had a consistent vendetta against Aneta all week, just posting incorrect information in his article. And then just saying basically to focus on his own sort of repos himself and continue building. So it's interesting sort of the way everything sort of plays out, isn't it?
Yeah, it's drama. It is true that it did break the Explorer. And so we had, that's improvement right there. They did it. I can say that is one thing they have definitely done, is they forced us to improve some of our core infrastructure. And the reality is, like, seeing the amount of hacks that have been going on specifically related to bridges. If Aneta BTC needs some runway to feel, solid and what they're building, considering we're down like what, 2 billion this year in hacks, I can understand, there's some reluctancy to, open source right away, to be honest. But, the other side asking for open, framework or some type of proof of development, that's also a good thing. So
there's a little bit of accountability on both sides there.
Yeah.
So Hazy says, anyway, I don't think the dev channel is the right place for this infighting or discussion. A bit of a defense. Comet is a meme coin and they're pretty honest about it. I guess we can kind of skip through some of that and move on to MGPy
stuff and get to the good stuff.
Yeah. So we'll get back into it with Ergo Sapiens.
All right. So they've been doing lots of contract development this week. Nice to see. They're integrating AVL-based metadata, which allows them basically a much more decentralized and scalable mint process, as anyone can sign the sale transaction from the contract since nothing is pre-minted. AVL is only possible due to the wonderful work of Cheese Enthusiast. Big Cheese has done amazing things with AVL trees. So I would have to second that. Preparing pre-minted NFTs for the alpha launch on Sunday, which will help raise funds for further development, possibly buying some land on Sigma Valley.
Nice. Moving on, and Unreal with the auction house update. So they've implemented a new collection EIP. Now that's done in the auction house backend, and the database is updated with new APIs added. Now working on separately scanning the network to find all artworks and store them. This helps with users to see a list of their artworks, no matter if they're already listed or not. They can choose artworks to be listed and then add that to a collection. Authentication is added to the backend. JWT is used. They'll now use the user's wallet signatures to authenticate, and the implementation's done on both the backend and the front end. The authentication process has been reviewed multiple times by their team and now have a fairly solid process implemented. Users can now use any address in their wallet to create auctions. As mentioned in the previous chat, the dev team, the database, has changed so that they handle forks and double bidding. The front end can send signed transactions to the back end to get validated, processed, and then sent to the network. And there's a mass auction creation UI page that's almost complete. And then moving on the Ergo team side, so some tests were found to be missing for the contract of the team config. The team config specifies who can vote, how many votes are needed, etc., and can be changed with voting. They're going to add these tests soon. contracts are now have some explanation for review, and we'll share after the missing texts are added. The UI design is also progressing well. Some needed backend APIs will be implemented soon, and researching about a proper and fair way to tokenize Ergo team. That's another big update, and I believe their auction, their raffle was funded. Was it this week?
Yeah, it was this week.
Yeah.
Kind of over the weekend, but yeah, nice to see. The auction house was, one of our first open source applications, and I think a lot of people have cut it apart and either reused, repurposed, or just learned about building on Ergo from that application. I'm really happy to see the community come together and support that.
Most definitely. And we have Ilya from Spectrum, who needs to update his username.
Yeah, that's the old Ergo Dex. He needs to update his username. So Spectrum, it looks like first they're working on liquidity farming protocol implementation in ErgoScript. Now, for those of you that don't know what that means, that basically means some form of token rewards for liquidity providing, which indicates they're doing something with a token. So you can always go bother Gaza about that. I don't know if
when token.
He answers that every day. But the fact that they're working on implementing liquidity farming, I think, says something. More precise charts API been released. The Spectrum node peer manager is a work in progress. The Spectrum front end, they're going to replace pool URL part with liquidity. New Spectrum website, Dex app redesign. So nice to see that coming together.
Yep.
Then we have Ian. He's back at it. He was developing during the weekly update. So it looks like he's approved and merged another poll for the node. And he's already put together candidate 4.0.40 for review. So that was quick.
He's a man on a mission, isn't he?
Yeah.
So scrolling through some of this, we can get to cyber citizens and an update from CM Mongo. So they've got an apartment update. So they've finished collisions for all sizes of the apartments, 4 in total. Added builder menu and icons for sorting the menu. They've added the first furniture to customize your apartment. So you can place, rotate, and remove furniture, and the collisions is improved. They've added a red background color to the item when it's in a place where it can't be placed, so outside of the apartment. And soon they'll be implementing feature to move existing furniture around, fix dimensions of other furniture. On the map, they've started to work on a better in-game map graphics for the game map. With more scaled map equals roads, adding statues, objects, decorations, and updating buildings for better play satisfaction. And posting a very early version of the customization, so remastered building design for the upgraded map. So this is a little video here if you want to check that out.
Open an apartment below.
Yeah, I can't bring that up, I don't think. And that's the weekly developer update for this week.
All right.
Another significant update. I know I say week on week, obviously, and it's not just a little bit of commentary here and there. All the detail that these guys go into, the significance of the updates are pretty big.
Yeah, it is. And the reality is, I'm kind of glad we have our little drama. At least somewhat in the open, so we can just get in front of it, right?
Yeah.
It's going to happen in this space. You can always take it to Twitter, you can always take it to Reddit, but when the developer update is a place where developers come to share code, test each other's framework, and there's better places to kind of figure things out like that. So if I'm sure that's going to come, right? It's just, it comes along with the space. I wish I could say, no, we're going to do a mature ecosystem that doesn't, have that kind of like marketing and infighting and all of that. And to some degree, I do think that it is good to ask good questions, right? It really is. So I'm not against kind of holding projects to their word and, really trying to make sure that things are done in a way that just delivers value instead of, kind of running off with money or something like that. That is needed, that type of due diligence. Sometimes things are massively oversold and underdelivered.
Yeah, we often see that all too often in the space. It's a bit unfortunate also. So obviously, by all means, sort of have these robust discussions. It's how we grow as an ecosystem, but also there is a time and a place as well.
Yeah, keep it classy, but know your assumptions.
Yeah, exactly.
Hard to know exactly what the balance of that is. I can't say I have any like universal rule. I'm not the police.
Yep.
And I'm not even sure if I'm a moderator on Discord that has a vote of the banner, and I don't know who the artist is, but I think that type of community governance is good,
Yeah.
It's not bad to have standards.
Exactly. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for tuning in once again. Joe, it's been a pleasure running through the developer update. So by all means, tune in next week. Thanks for joining.
Have a good one.
Take care.